You ever get that feeling like something's just off? Like you've stepped into a place where the air is heavy with secrets and shadows seem to breathe. That's what it was like when I first set foot on the campus of Northwood University. Picture a place straight out of a Gothic novel, all ivy-covered buildings, looming oaks, and mist that clings to the ground like a spectral shroud. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a prestigious institution, but let me tell you, it's got a history. Legends whispered about secret societies, mysterious disappearances, and a library that supposedly holds forbidden knowledge. And me? I'm just an average Joe trying to get through my freshman year. But man, this place was something else. First week, I took to exploring. The old clock tower struck 12, echoing through the empty quad. Shadows danced, playing tricks on my eyes. I was alone, or so I thought. The crunch of gravel underfoot wasn't mine. I spun around, heart pounding, but there was nothing, just a trail of fallen leaves. Next, there was the library. Now, this wasn't your run-of-the-mill place. Stacks upon stacks of books, some so ancient they looked like they'd crumble at a touch. It was quiet, too quiet. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, and every footstep seemed to reverberate through the silent halls. I swear, as I flipped through the pages of an ancient tome, I heard a whisper like a voice from a forgotten era. Classes were no different. The lecture halls were cavernous, the seats worn with the imprints of generations before me. It was like a mausoleum for knowledge. The professors, though brilliant, had an air of mystery about them, like they knew something I didn't. It was as if they held the keys to a world hidden just beneath the surface. As weeks passed, the stories I'd heard began to haunt my thoughts. The missing students, the strange occurrences. It all felt like something out of a campfire tale. But one night, everything changed. I was in the dorm, reading by lamplight, when I heard it. A distant, mournful wail, like the cry of a lost soul. My heart raced, my breath quickened. I couldn't place the sound. It seemed to come from everywhere, and nowhere all at once. I crept out into the hallway, eyes wide, ears straining. The darkness seemed to pulse around me, the air cold and damp. I followed the sound, winding through the labyrinthine halls, my footsteps echoing like a heartbeat in my ears. The wail grew louder, more desperate, until I found myself in front of the clock tower. The source of the sound was clear now, emanating from the towering structure. I climbed, steps creaking beneath me, each one echoing in the silence. The higher I ascended, the more the air grew oppressive, like a weight on my chest. And then I reached the top. There in the dim light of the moon, I saw it, a figure draped in tattered robes, facing the horizon. Its back heaved with each mournful cry. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Fear held me in its icy grip. Then, in an instant, it turned. Its face, twisted in anguish, was a mirror of my own. It knew me. It knew who I was. Panic surged through my veins, but before I could react, it spoke, its voice a hollow whisper. "You are the key, the bridge between worlds." I stumbled back, my mind a whirlwind of terror and confusion. What did it mean? Before I could form a coherent thought, the figure dissolved into shadow, leaving me alone in the tower. From that moment on, things changed. Whispers followed me, shadows seemed to watch my every move. I delved into the history of the university, seeking answers, but only found more questions. The secret societies, the disappearances, they were all connected, and I was at the center of it. But here's the kicker, the twist in the tale. The more I dug, the more I realized I wasn't the first. Generations before me, students had stood in this very spot, faced with the same darkness. Some had succumbed, lost to the void, while others had become part of the fabric of the university itself. As the days turned to weeks, I wrestled with my fate. Was I to become a mere footnote in the annals of Northwood's haunted history, or could I break the cycle, uncover the truth, and free myself from the shadows that clung so tightly. I wish I could tell you I found the answer, that I emerged from that place triumphant, but truth be told, I'm still here, still seeking, still haunted. So if you ever find yourself at Northwood University, remember this tale. Watch the shadows, listen for the whispers, and know that the past is never truly buried. It's just waiting for its next chapter. Alright, so let me lay it out for you. We've all heard the spooky stories about college campuses, right? Well, let me tell you about the time I got tangled up in one of them. Picture this, a campus that's all grandiose architecture, with ivy-covered buildings that look like they've been around since the dawn of time. Yeah, that was my college. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved the place during the day. The sun glinting off the windows, students hustling and bustling. It was the typical college scene. But when night fell, oh boy, that's when things got weird. One evening, my buddies and I were gathered in the dorm, shooting the breeze. Someone brought up the old tales about the abandoned wing of the science building, said it was haunted. Me, being the skeptic, laughed it off. That's when they dared me. You know how these things go, right? They dared me to spend the night there. I figured, what the heck, might as well prove them wrong. So, armed with nothing but my bravado and a flashlight, I headed out to the science building. The air had this chill to it, even though it was early fall. The moon was full, casting long shadows on the cobbled paths. As I entered the building, the atmosphere changed. It was like walking into a different world. The air was heavy, suffused with the scent of old books and chemicals. Dust motes danced in the beam of my flashlight, giving the place an ethereal quality. Now, you might think I was alone, but that's where you'd be wrong. Every creak, every distant shuffle seemed to echo with a presence. I could feel eyes on me, even though I knew I was the only living soul in that wing. I explored room after room, each one more decrepit than the last. Broken glass, rusted equipment. It was like a time capsule of forgotten knowledge. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else here, something watching, waiting. As the hours crawled by, I found myself in what looked like an old lecture hall. Rows of dusty seats, a chalkboard covered in indecipherable equations. That's when I heard it. A soft melodic hum, almost like a lullaby. I spun around, flashlight trembling in my hand. In the far corner, I saw her, a woman, draped in white, her hair cascading like a waterfall. She was hunched over, swaying gently. My heart pounded, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. It was like I was under some kind of spell. I took a step forward, my voice barely a whisper. "Hey, are you okay?" She turned, her face shrouded in shadows. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then she spoke, her voice like a breeze through autumn leaves. "You should not be here," she murmured. I blinked, my mind racing. Who was she? What was she doing here? But before I could respond, she vanished, leaving me alone in the eerie silence. I hightailed it out of there, heart pounding like a jackhammer. Back in my dorm, I tried to make sense of it all. Was it a prank? A trick of the mind? But deep down, I knew it was something more. That woman, she wasn't just a figment of my imagination. Days turned into weeks, but I couldn't shake the memory. I went back to that wing of the science building, hoping for answers, but it was like she had never been there, like it was all a dream. And then, one night, as I sat in my dorm, the pieces fell into place. The woman, the haunted wing, it was all part of a story that had been whispered through the ages. She was a spirit bound to that place, a guardian of its secrets. So here I am, passing on the tale. If you ever find yourself on a college campus and you'd hear the legends, take heed. Some things are best left undisturbed. And remember, not everything can be explained away with logic and reason. There are mysteries in this world that defy understanding. All right, let me take you on a trip down a shadowy lane, a tale etched in the bricks and books of my old college campus. You've heard of those places, right? Where every step echoes with history, where the walls seem to hold secrets. Well, this was one of them. Trust me, it was like no other. Picture a campus draped in ivy, ancient oaks towering overhead, and Gothic buildings that seemed to breathe with a life of their own. During the day, it was all hustle and bustle, students shuffling to and fro, professors lost in thought. But when dusk fell, the atmosphere changed. One chilly autumn evening, my friends and I gathered in our dorm, swapping stories like any group of college kids. That's when someone mentioned the old library, the one tucked away in the heart of the campus. Legend had it that it was haunted, cursed even. Naturally, they dared me to spend the night there. Me, being the overconfident know-it-all, accepted without a second thought. As I walked through the campus that night, the air seemed to carry a weight, a sense of anticipation. The moon cast eerie shadows on the cobblestones, and the wind whispered through the trees like an ancient incantation. The library loomed ahead, its stone facade standing sentinel in the night. Stepping through the heavy oak doors, the scent of old leather and paper enveloped me. Dust danced in the dim light, and the shelves seemed to stretch into infinity. It was like stepping into a different era, a place where time held its breath. I roamed the aisles, my footsteps muffled by the worn carpet. Each book seemed to hold a story, each whispered name an echo of a scholar long gone. But the further I ventured, the more I felt it. A presence, subtle yet undeniable, like a shiver down my spine. Hours passed, but it felt like minutes. I was lost in the labyrinth of knowledge, the world beyond those walls, a distant memory. That's when I stumbled upon it, a section hidden away in the farthest corner. The books were old, bound in cracked leather, their titles faded with time. As I reached out to touch one, a voice echoed in the silence, low and guttural. My heart leaped, my eyes scanning the room for the source. There, in the corner, stood a figure cloaked in darkness. My breath caught, my pulse quickened. It was as if the shadows had taken form, a spectre born of forgotten tales. "You shouldn't be here," the voice rasped, sending a chill down my spine. I stammered, trying to form words, but it was like my voice had abandoned me. The figure stepped closer, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. It was then that I saw its face, twisted in pain and sorrow. Before I could react, it vanished, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence. My legs carried me out of the library, heart pounding, mind reeling. What had I just witnessed? Was it a trick of the mind, a hallucination? Days turned into nights, but the memory lingered. I delved into the history of the college, searching for answers, and that's when I uncovered it, a secret buried deep within the annals of time. The college had concealed a truth, a dark chapter in its past, and that library held the key. The haunting was no mere ghost story, it was a manifestation of the hidden horrors. The more I uncovered, the more I realized I was entangled in a web of deceit and malevolence. But here's the twist, the revelation that turned my world upside down. The figure, the haunting, it was all a manifestation of my own guilt. The truth I had uncovered implicated not just the college, but me as well. I had unwittingly become a part of the very darkness I sought to expose. As the days grew colder, I wrestled with my conscience. Should I reveal the truth, face the consequences, or should I bury it, let the secrets remain hidden? In the end, I made my choice. I couldn't live with the weight of that knowledge, the burden of complicity. I stepped forward, exposed the truth, and faced the fallout. The campus was never the same after that. The haunting ceased, but the scars remained. And me? I was forever changed, a living ghost, haunted by the choices I had made. So, my friend, when you find yourself on a college campus, remember this tale. Sometimes, the shadows hold more than just secrets. They hold the echoes of our own sins, waiting to be unearthed.